This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, March 26, 2020. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. We've got a lot to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials, keeping us out of trouble, ready to answer the phone when you call on in, put you on there with your comments, questions, and opinions. Boy, talk about a good day on the Dow. The market just closed at 1322 up. And it's recovered about 1/3 of the losses since the peak last month. So the investment class, they're all happy. They're looking forward to this coronavirus stimulus package passing. But again, the Senate passed it 96-0. And now it's up to the House, but we're hearing already from Nancy Pelosi. She's got a bunch of stuff she wants to add into it. She's still going for her little fairy tale wish list of things like, $35 million for the Kennedy Performing Center and credits for solar panels and all this other stuff. It's got nothing to do with coronavirus. It's got nothing to do with the economic hardship being suffered by the American people. It's just what the liberals want, and she's going to hold that legislation hostage until she gets it. So in theory, the House will vote on it tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. As Speaker of the House, unfortunately, Nancy Pelosi has a great deal of influence on what gets voted where. So what is the coronavirus stimulus package and what is in it? And this is the largest economic relief package in American history, and it's got something for employees, employers, and those hardest hit by the COVID-19 crisis. Okay, now there are going to be payments to individuals. Single Americans will receive $1,200. Married couples will get $2,400. Parents will receive $500 for each child under the age of 17. On the other hand, payments will start to phase out for individuals with adjusted gross incomes of more than $75,000. Those making more than $99,000 won't qualify at all. The thresholds are doubled for couples. Okay, now there is a huge boost in unemployment benefits. The federal government is going to give jobless workers an extra $600 a week for 4 months on top of state benefits, which range from $200 to $550 a week, depending upon where you live. In addition, there's going to be 13 weeks of extended benefits will be fully covered by the federal government. As of now, state unemployment checks, again, depending upon where you live, they last from 12 to 28 weeks. So it does look like it's going to move forward and it's going to provide a little bit of relief. But even that much, I'm sorry, $2,400 for a couple, that's going to cover your rent for maybe 2 months. And it's certainly not going to cover the other bills. I don't think it's enough. And I don't think it's enough to re-kick the economy back in, because after you get that $2,400 for a married couple, you're going to pay your rent, you're going to pay your utilities, you're going to buy food. There's going to be nothing left over to go back into the stores and restart that consumer economy, which prior to that whole 2008 crash, the consumer economy was more than 60% of our entire economic activity. So, nice that we're going to get the cash, and yes, we're going to cash those checks and spend the money. I don't think it's enough. By the way, for those of you, if you have auto pay on any of your bank accounts, and you have lost your job, you need to take care of that, because otherwise when the auto pay comes on in and there aren't enough funds in your account to cover it, you're going to get overdraft charges from the bank, and they can really pile up very, very quickly. All right, Donald Trump is out there warning that suicides from the coming economic depression will far surpass the deaths from the coronavirus. Somebody called in, or rather wrote in the other day and said, what is the source for that claim? Well, it's coming from the White House here. And President Donald Trump is saying that social distancing rules may be relaxed sometime soon. Tremendous death from the economic depression that could be worse than the coronavirus itself. So he is starting to change his priorities here. and shift back to getting the economy going again. And surprisingly, according to a new Harris poll, most Americans agree with him. They're more worried about the economy than they are about their personal health. Of course, we understand the mortality rate for the coronavirus is very low. It's certainly higher than the conventional flu, but we all seem to keep the economy going despite that here. Anyway, Trump has right now a 60% approval rating. The Democrats are freaking out about that. And a taxpayer-funded national public radio station, KUOW-FM in Seattle, is saying they will no longer carry the daily White House coronavirus briefings, saying the decision is due to a pattern of false or misleading information provided that cannot be fact-checked in real time. In other words, they're saying, we think the president and his people are lying, therefore we're not going to broadcast. Well, we don't know how true and accurate the information is we're getting from the briefings, but it's the only information we're really getting from the top. And I think NPR, which is taxpayer funded, is definitely doing a disservice by saying, we're not going to carry the president's briefings. Now, I remember when I was young, when the president asked for time on the media, it was provided, no questions asked. And now we've got the media saying, well, we don't think the president's going to say anything worthwhile, so we're going to do reruns of the Kardashians or something. We're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And there's a story that came on out. This was over at Investment Watch blog on how the estimates are that the U.S. will be the coronavirus center of the world by the end of this week. I don't know about the end of this week, end of next week, maybe. And it's turning out that, again, as people were concerned about, New Orleans is turning into a new hotspot for the coronavirus. And they're saying, yes, it was Mardi Gras. It was a month of Carnival, Mardi Gras itself, and now the people are coming down sick down there, and there is a huge blooming, if you will, of new cases down there. Now, the director of the World Health Organization, remember, back in January, was claiming that COVID-19 could not be spread by human-to-human contact. I remember that. I remember they came on out and said, nope, not going to happen, not going to happen. Well, now he's out there, he's changed his tune and saying that the world was slow to react to COVID-19. Generally, given the mass of government bureaucracy, an instantaneous reaction was impossible from the beginning. So anyway, the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, is out there saying the world was slow to react. Now, over in Spain, which is Europe's worst hit country after Italy, is saying that the coronavirus tests it bought from China are failing to detect positive cases. In other words, they're getting false negatives. And I think it was only yesterday we were talking about this document from the CDC acknowledging that the PCR tests that they've been handing out there can do a false positive, where it can say, yes, you've got the COVID-19 virus in you, but it can't determine whether or not that's the cause of your illness or death. So it's a lot of uncertainty out there in the laboratories here. Now, here's a very, very interesting story, and it came out of teleguodo.com, and it relates to Dr. Li Wenliang. Now, this was the doctor in China who was actually punished for going public about COVID-19, and he later died of that disease. And now he's being exonerated posthumously and honored for what he did. It turns out in his case files that he kept for research purposes, he had something he thought was going to be a cure that would significantly decrease the impact of the COVID-19 virus on the human body. And it basically involves three chemicals: methylxanthine, theobromine, and theophylline. And these stimulate compounds that can ward off these viruses in a human with at least an average immune system. And it turns out these three chemicals are found naturally occurring in tea. Regular tea has these chemicals already in it. The main methylxanthine is in fact the stimulant caffeine. So if you're drinking a lot of caffeine already. That's a good one. And what happens is the tea plant creates these chemicals as a way to ward off insects and other animals. That's why we find so many of these medications in plants. They've literally evolved to produce chemicals to protect themselves from predators and fungi and so forth. They didn't just make these chemicals for us to harvest and use on ourselves. These are these plants' natural defense systems. So apparently a simple cup of tea has been proven by this doctor to actually reduce the impact of the virus. So something else you can stock up on and buy out the store. All right, so how did all of this get started? The hysteria. We talked about the hysteria yesterday. We had a lot of people calling in saying it is overblown. And I will agree that the corporate media has just jumped on this as a way to build viewership and ad revenues and so forth. But it all goes back to a British scientist by the name of Neil Ferguson. And he published this report predicting 2.2 million Americans and more than 500,000 Brits would be killed by COVID-19. And that resulted in both the United States and British governments basically shutting down their citizens and economies. And unfortunately, Ferguson is now walking back his doomsday scenarios and saying, well, you know, I've gone back in and I've looked at the numbers, and it's not going to be that bad by quite a wide margin here. But Ferguson's report from Imperial College, which the White House and other officials took seriously, said that if the U.S. and Great Britain did not shut down for 18 months and isolation measures were not taken, we would expect a peak in mortality to occur after approximately 3 months. And his models predicted overflowing hospitals and ICU beds. I think it was about a week ago we were talking about this article saying we're all making decisions on the basis of unreliable information. The only thing we know for certain is we don't know anything for certain. And so people's imaginations are running wild, and you have people who think it's the end of the world, and you have other people like those who were calling in yesterday saying, no, it's no big deal. Somewhere in between those two extreme views lies the truth, and we're trying to basically narrow down and get there. Now, with the mortality rate, at least here in the United States, of only 1.3%, it's not a slate wiper. I mean, if everybody in the United States came down with COVID-19, okay, we're still looking, you know, maybe 3-4 million deaths out of a population of 330 million. That's not a wiped slate. Slate wiper would be Ebola Mayinga, which has like a 98% fatality rate. Okay. There have been a lot of people out there doing, I guess you could call them practical jokes, where they're like coughing on people and saying, oh, by the way, I have the virus, or I have the virus, do this or I'll cough on you. There was one lady who basically coughed in a supermarket, and the supermarket threw out $35,000 worth of food because she said she had the coronavirus. Come on, people. We need to, in the face of this crisis, we have to go for our better selves. We have to think, you know, how is this really going to affect people around us, instead of, you know, can I use this to get my face on social media? Okay, fame is fleeting, and it's not that big a deal. Anyway, apparently the Department of Justice has announced that people who deliberately spread COVID-19 may face federal terrorism charges for purposeful exposure and infection. There's one guy who's apparently already being considered for terrorism charges, threatening people to cough on them. Okay, story coming on out of another one from Investment Watchblog. They're talking about the situation in New Orleans, and they're bracing for chaos down there because, again, Mardi Gras was the end of February. We're now on March 26th, and people are starting to come down sick. And if it's really bad, and, you know, during Mardi Gras, they were just packed in there shoulder to shoulder, things could get, New Orleans could very quickly become a worse hotspot than New York is right now. We have to keep an eye on that. Now, here's an interesting little development here. I was talking about this with Claire this morning. Those reusable shopping bags. I mean, the liberals said, don't use disposable plastic, which is good, and go back to the paper bags, or even better, reusable shopping bags. And there had already been a concern about reusable shopping bags as being, shall we say, growth environments for bacteria. Because even with all the packaging and everything that you have from what you bring home from the supermarket, especially produce that you've just pulled off the little display case and put in your reusable shopping bag, over time you build up a coating inside of nutrition that microbes can feed on. And there was already a concern about that. How do you keep those sterile and clean? But over in Massachusetts, the governor has now prohibited the use of reusable shopping bags. This is actually a smart thing, because let us say, hypothetically, I have COVID-19 and we're going down to the local Walmart and we grab our reusable shopping bags out of the back of the car, which means they're now contaminated with COVID-19 virus. And we go on into Walmart and we walk around and we put stuff in the shopping cart. And as we're checking out, whoever's bagging the groceries picks up the virus from the reusable shopping bag. And yes, I know that you tend to bag your own stuff at Walmart, but the local supermarket where they bag it for you. So I think it's a really, really good idea that people stop using those reusable shopping bags. Okay, Russia made a big deal about sending a whole bunch of COVID-19 aid to Italy. Unfortunately, citing high-level political sources, the country's La Stampa Daily reported 80% of the material sent by Russia is essentially useless. So it was more of a political exercise than a real exercise in humanity, at least if we are to believe La Stampa. All right, down in Brazil, President Bolsonaro has taken the attitude that COVID-19 is just a little flu. And it isn't. It's a viral pneumonia, and it's causing a lot of damage to lungs. You're going to live with that damage for the rest of your life. But he's refusing to impose a curfew. So you know who's doing it? You know who stepped on in to impose a curfew and separation to try and control coronavirus? The drug lords. The drug lords and criminals in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro, who hold sway over the city's slums, are imposing their own curfew. And you might be surprised the extent to which the South American drug lords are actually foundations of their local cultures. They'll build schools, they'll build hospitals. I mean, they got the money to do it, obviously. And they want to look good in the eyes of the people who are around them, so that they don't get turned in, they don't get betrayed. And they'll build roads, just all kinds of stuff. They function like a de facto government. All right, we're going to take a phone call from Dustin in New Jersey. Dustin, I'm going to take you through the next commercial break. What's on your mind?
Wasn't Bolsonaro wearing a mask, though?
Yes, he was.
It's no threat. Why? If it's no, this is the attitude, though, Mike. Mike, Louisiana is tied with New Jersey now, and they're going to go real much higher because they let the Mardi Gras happen. They didn't really lock down anything. And I hate to say this, but Florida is going to be up there too because this lackluster attitude. By the way, in Publix, that's a food store, I believe, in Florida, they're going to be putting in plexiglass barriers between people.
They've already started it.
And they're going to do that here in New Jersey too. So I don't think this is going to be over by Easter. Like I said a couple of times, if you open the floodgates, you're going to overwhelm the system. There's just, and Mike, by the way, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe the death rate is 10 times more because aren't they only counting the people that they tested for coronavirus? How are they counting? If you have pneumonia or something and you didn't get tested for coronavirus and died, like say in January, you wouldn't be counted, right?
That's right. That's a question that's been raised. Is prior to the awareness of COVID-19, how many so-called flu deaths were actually COVID-19 deaths? Anyway, listen, Dustin, I'm going to put you on hold here. We got to take a break for commercials. And when we come back, just pick up where you left off. We'll be right back after these few words from our sponsors.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And I know that right now, we are all struggling together to deal with this economy. People are losing their jobs. People are having to take pay cuts. And money is very, very tight for everybody. And that's what makes it so very, very hard for us to get down on our knees and, beg for some help for Republic Broadcasting, because Republic Broadcasting, without your support, is going to go away. And again, a heartfelt thanks to everybody who has donated, who does support free radio, free in the sense of freedom of thought, freedom of question, freedom of speech. And if you can help, and we appreciate every little bit, there's no such thing as too small of a donation. The postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit card or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you, and I thank you. All right, we're going to go back to Dustin in New Jersey, and Dustin, just sort of take off from where you were.
Yeah, Mike, that's the whole thing. This has probably been here since January. So all those people who've been getting it and not diagnosed with it and have been put on ventilators and stuff or died, they're not counted. And even now, the people who aren't getting tested are getting the symptoms and being put on ventilators. So the numbers could be 10 or 20 or 30 times more higher.
They could definitely be higher. I don't know about 20 or 30. But they could definitely be higher. And again, it gets back to the situation. We're all working from unreliable information. We find out that the flu numbers are not actual counts, they're estimates. And we're starting to see the same thing with COVID-19, where they're guesstimating, what the numbers are rather than going out and doing an actual count. Epidemiologists, need to actually go on out and say, this person definitely had it and definitely died from it. This person had it and recovered. This person never got it. And just actually keep a physical count so we've got some real numbers to work with. If everybody's out there guesstimating and they guesstimate wrong, like that guy in Britain who wrote that report saying, that 3 million Americans and 500,000 Brits were going to die. Now he's pulling back and saying, well, that may have been an overstatement. We can't. And, as far as he's concerned, it worked out well for him. He got his name in the newspapers. He's probably got grants all over the place. And, scientists are human beings, and scientists understand if they find something and it's no big deal, they're not going to get any attention. If they find something and it's the end of the world, the media shows up, followed by money.
Now, would they waste a test kit on somebody who passed away, though?
They probably would not.
Yeah, so, that's all right. So, that's pretty much all I had to say, but like I said, watch Florida and Louisiana, because I think those are going to be big hot spots also. Louisiana is going to be getting it bad.
I think so.
Remember, you said 1 million people passed through that, all the parishes. I think he said 57 or 58 out of 64 parishes, there's people that have it now. So they're spreading it. It's because they don't know. There's other people who don't know they have it.
And there's all incubation. There's all the people who went to Mardi Gras from out of state. They're now back home in their states.
Including Florida.
Yes.
And California. And all this. All right, Mike, have a good night and a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. I got a note here from Mike in the control room saying that his local convenience store guys are wearing masks and hung a plexiglass pane from the ceiling down to a few inches above the counter. So everybody's hunkering down on that. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones again to Steve Elkins. And Steve, I'm going to have to take you through this next commercial break. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to be on John's show for the first hour tonight. I didn't get a chance to talk about some things I wanted to last night due to the caller response. We had too many calls last night. But I'd like to ask your listening audience. You've got a great audience. You've got a very smart audience. You're doing a great job. I appreciate you. And thank you for kind of calming things down on this pandemic, and that's exactly what it is. I'm going to be discussing some things tonight, what's going on down here in Florida right now. Put some myths to rest and tell you what's going on down here with New York coming down here, and the Governor Cuomo with the need of 30,000 ventilators. I'm going to spell it out for you on John's show in that first hour. I could take up a half an hour of your time. I don't want to do that. It's your show. But I do want to bring some things to rest here, a lot of things that just don't, it's insane. And I got to bring a rest to it and tell the truth on what I know from being an insider. And so tune into that first hour, and I will relay that information. There's a lot of stuff, lots of misinformation, and a lot of speculation. And I'm going to put that to rest tonight in that first hour.
All right. Well, I'm sure that my audience will tune into you right after I finish my show, because you do follow right immediately. And anything else?
No, that's it. I just, it's bothered me, and I've just got to get this out here. I didn't get it last night, but I will definitely get it out in that first hour and stay aware if I need to for answering questions. But I'm going to give you the inside scoop, my perspective, being on the medical side of what the truth is and what the hype is and what the lies are. I'm going to expose those tonight.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the phone call then. We're going to let you go and do another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show, The Red Pill Hardcore, is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go right back to the phones to Lenny in California. Aloha, Lenny. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, Michael, what's on my mind is what you brought up earlier in your show about the report about Russia shipping so much stuff over to Italy and 80% of it not being any good. First off, let's go back to just a day or so ago, or a few days ago, where United States told Poland not to even let Russia use their airspace to fly stuff into Italy. And if Italy want to sell 80% of stuff from Russia, that's no good. That's Italy's business. But let's look at the true fact of the matter. If you got 100 U.S. bases in Italy, what does Italy really have to say about the matter? And if we look at La Stampa, okay, the owners of that paper are people called Agnellis family, who have 60% of their business in American Chrysler. What does that tell you about their connection to America and possibly the CIA?
Well, that's why I qualified the story saying if you believe La Stampa.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I want to get to the menace behind it all. He's in Italy the other day. Newt Gingrich is already there. He happens to be stuck in Italy. Stuck. I put that in quotations. Okay. But Pompeo, who I refer to as, who looked like he could have stole the world's supply of toilet paper just for himself. All right. I can't stand this guy, and my monster of the id is just growing for him. Okay. I just don't like him, period. But going back to him, he's in Italy accusing Iran of purposely spreading the coronavirus when nobody has been hit. If you look at the nature of the virus, it happens to hit the two worst enemies that America and Israel hate the most. That's Iran and China. Okay?
Yes.
And they're mad at Italy because Italy has those Chinese factories in northern Italy and the garment factory. Okay, they're mad about that. Okay, but going back to Pompeo, he's accusing Iran of purposely spreading. Then he's in public offering Iran help to cure the virus, but then sanctioning them behind everybody's back. He's pouring even more sanctions. Okay, what a piece of crap, and I mean it, a big fat piece of crap. But I want to go back to an Italian reporter when he flew to Italy the other day, Pompeo. Okay, during the welcoming ceremony, a female reporter gifted Pompeo with a bag of dog food and advised him to dine 3 times a day so he could acquire a dog's honesty and credibility. Now, that's true Italian reporting.
Oh, boy.
That's all I have to say, sir. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go and switch over to David in Illinois. Aloha, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello. I just heard a few minutes ago Dustin brought up about the people passing away from the flu. At the beginning of this virus that was showing up in the United States, there was 2 research scientists from that also worked on other viruses like the corona. And they did say they were having the autopsies were coming back from people that they thought passed away from the flu, and they were not. They passed away from the coronavirus. But they wouldn't give a number. They wouldn't go on and state that. So they knew that this has been showing up, and they missed it. I take it.
Well, I mean, the external symptoms present pretty much similar. You have to do a genetics test and you have to scan the lungs because the damage done to the lungs by COVID-19 is definitely not something you would see with influenza.
But yes, that's all I was going to say. Sorry. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay, now, one of the things I've noticed, and probably you have as well, is that the American media and the American government are totally focused on finding treatments, cures, vaccines developed by American companies, and they're not interested in anything coming out of other countries, especially China, which has been dealing with COVID-19 longer than anybody else. And apparently, over in China, they're using an arthritis drug called tocilizumab, marketed as Actemra. And apparently it is helping to cure 95% of critically ill patients. And of course, that other story about, how tea may help you deal with that. They're not going to recommend that. They're not going to recommend that. I mean, it's gone so far as the governor of Nevada banned the use of malaria drugs for coronavirus. And he said he did it on the basis of leaders in public health in Nevada. And apparently there's a lot of people out there who've already taken the anti-malarial drugs, the quinone variants. And as it turns out, apparently Nevada's top health officials lack the qualifications to really make a determination as to whether these medications would be effective or not. It was all about protecting somebody's profits. And I think it's a very good exercise to take a look at various politicians like the governor of Nevada and find out how much of their stock portfolios are currently tied up with pharmaceutical companies. Because in the long run, they're the ones who are going to make out like bandits. They're going to be untouched by the economic downturn. The companies that are making masks and gloves and vaccines and treatments and the rest of it, they're going to do very, very well from a panicked population. So we have to be careful of that. Okay, another story, this one coming out of Zero Hedge. Apparently, New York City morgues are nearing capacity and will be full as soon as next week, according to the Department of Homeland Security, as corroborated by a Politico source. So there is a real virus out there, and it's really killing people. But again, as that caller mentioned, the panic-demic is a little unjustified here. All right, another story, this one coming out of webnewssys.com. Apparently, police are setting up coronavirus checkpoints, and police officers are turning back dog walkers, driving to find a secluded spot, builders trying to get to work. Apparently, the police are given power to demand if car journeys are essential or if they're flouting the lockdown. And we've got places, you know, here in the United States of America, where they're talking about fines if you're out of your home without a good reason. They're talking about jail time in some states if you're out of your home without a really good reason. Everything has to be considered essential as defined by the government, or you could be in serious, serious trouble. Now, today, the FDA approved a new treatment for critical coronavirus patients where they're going to take the blood serum from those who have survived the COVID-19 virus. They've recovered, they've developed antibodies, they're going to donate their blood, it's going to be processed and then injected into the critical coronavirus patients. The interesting thing is this is a centuries-old treatment, and the FDA only just now got around to approving it. So hopefully it's going to work. And anyway, all right. Fear of COVID-19 is based on its high estimated case fatality rate of 2 to 4% of people with confirmed COVID-19 have died, according to the World Health Organization and others. That's a global estimate, not here in the United States of America. Here in the United States, it's about 1.3%. So, I'm just reading a message from our control room. Let's see. So anyway, standard professors being quoted by the Wall Street Journal are saying that the COVID-19 fatality rate estimates are too high. They're saying not as many people are dying as the estimates are saying. Remember I said earlier in the show, everyone's working from guesstimates. We guesstimate it's this many people are sick. We guesstimate this many people have died. We don't have reliable, accurate information. But people are leaving the hot spots. They're trying to go to places where the disease is not yet present there. And apparently out on Cape Cod and the Hamptons, they're overwhelmed by rich Americans who are fleeing to their summer homes. You know, they own two properties. They have their main residence, which is in the city. Then they have the summer home where they go on vacation on the summer. And apparently they're heading on out there to these less densely populated places like the Hamptons and Kennebunkport. And it's already starting to overwhelm the local infrastructure. And of course, the people who live there are very concerned that this influx of people coming in from the hot zones are bringing the disease with them. And it's a legitimate concern. All right, so if you're part of the lockdown and you've stockpiled a bunch of stuff, what are you going to run out of first? And this article basically came out of Investment Watch blog saying this is what people are going to run out of first here. Snacks. Apparently, some of the first goods most people opened when the lockdown began was the snack food. Potato chips, cookies, and candy have been the first to go in many households. Fresh produce going to go, unless you have yourself your own garden. Breads will go. And then milk. For some reason, hair color is an item that they're concerned about. And apparently a lot of women are out there saying that they regret they didn't buy more hair color for touching up their roots before everything closed down. Vanity, thy name is woman. And alcohol. Apparently something that people are running through far more quickly than they expected is the alcohol. Whether it's wine, beer, or liquor, it's flowing quickly. Well, I don't know. Could you watch what's going on in the world today and remain stone cold sober? And of course, the one thing everybody is starting to run out of is patience. And I was noticing on Fox News where they're talking about ways to keep your children amused when they're at home from school. And I saw this very clever little illustration where this mother, using Monopoly money, put up this little job board, if you will. Clean your room, so many dollars. Take out the trash, so many dollars, and so forth. You know, chores, which were going to be paid Monopoly money. Then she had a shelf full of snacks and treats that all had prices on them. And so the idea was that, you know, you'd clean your room, you'd get some Monopoly money, and you could use that Monopoly money to buy things from this closet full of treats. I think it's a very, very clever idea, and it keeps the kids busy here. Now, you've probably seen that there's a lot of celebrities that are out there complaining about the quarantine from the living room of their huge mansions. And frankly, it's proving to be a turnoff for a lot of people. And we're getting complaints on social media saying, you know, how can we feel sorry for them? They've got these fabulous homes that they've bought by being very wealthy celebrities, and they're sitting there with all their toys, their big plasma TVs and stereo sound systems and exercise machines and who knows what all else. And they're out there saying, pity me, not likely to happen. All right, we're going to grab a phone call now from Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Yeah, Michael, what's the difference between these billionaires, Bill Gates from hell and George Soros? What's the difference between them two?
George Soros doesn't know how to use a computer.
Okay.
Best
okay,
I
there
could,
you go, right.
Best I could think of.
Hey, Michael, great answer. Listen, here's what I want to talk about. You know, since this pandemic or Wuhan flu, we haven't seen Antifa running around protesting. We don't see none of these protesters too much anymore that Soros is sponsoring with, what is it, 5,000 a head. I don't, and you know, talking about Bill Gates, him and his father, they each gave $10 billion to some of these other countries, but they don't even want to take care of the Americans in this country. And you know, let's tell the truth about immigration. But before I go on immigration, let's talk about this. There's more poor white Americans in this country than any other ethnic group there is in this country per capita. That's a proven fact. And I don't see Bill Gates trying to help reach out to those people. I don't see his father trying to reach out. But you know what? It doesn't matter anyway. All the money they spend over there, why don't they start spending some money over here? And or that, matter of fact, why don't they give $20 billion Central America to take care of their people over there, keep them over there, Mexico? Why don't they give them $20 billion? By the way, did you see who's? You had one caller, and he's absolutely right about Pompeo, the pompous ass. I call him the pompous. But listen to this, Michael. Did you see how much money the Chinese are spending in Africa?
Yes.
In money-wise? It's in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yes.
Nobody's talking about that. Okay? How much money is being spent over there so they can take over that area?
This COVID-19 has driven everything else off the news. There may well be Antifa protests. They're just not getting any coverage. Where, you know, we know that there's things going on in Syria, things going on in Yemen. We're going to try and talk about that a little bit later in the show here. But it's actually getting hard to find news that isn't about the coronavirus. And it's like it's becoming a blindfold over all of our eyes.
Well, Michael, did you see the bumbling Biden and that Bernie's that thing they try to do on online? They were both failures. They're imbeciles, both of them. I think Biden's way gone. Biden's got the brain of a 100-year-old. I used to be 98. I'm going to say he's got a brain of a 100-year-old. And they want this guy for the president. It's amazing that people would vote for this guy. He's a bumbling buffoon. It's buffoonery. And you know, and then you hear on Laura Ingle the other night, she's talking about, well, there's only 40,000 respirators in New York. Well, whose fault is that? Whose fault is what's going on in New York and New Jersey? Whose fault is that? But in the meantime, you got these. Yes.
Yeah, it's Obama's fault because, you know, they had the chance to order more respirators following the 2008 When Pigs Fly flu. And then you had Cuomo himself turn down an opportunity to buy a bunch more ventilators.
Well, Michael, I'm glad you said Obama because I was going to get to that. Exactly. When Obama was president, it was like patty cake. You can't touch this guy because if you say anything about him, you're this or that. You know, we know what the word is, but I'm not going to go there. Okay. But Obama got away with you know what. But listen, and I want a couple of your callers to hear that. I want to hear them. Make sure they hear that Obama got away with what another president can get away with. Believe that. Now, as far as going back to this Green New Deal that they're trying to stick in this bill with Pigs Pelosi and all these demon rats, communists. Every blue state is a disaster, basically. And, you know, Michael, with the Green New Deal, why is Ocasio-Cortez and all these people want to keep flooding this country with all these millions of illegal aliens? Why? For the vote. That's all it is, ladies and gentlemen, the vote. They don't care about this country. They want to flood it. They don't care about our culture, our identity. They don't even know who the founding fathers are or anybody. They don't care less. They want dead presidents, and they want to come over here. They all have to have a car to get around. Okay, like you were saying the other day, they have 20 for living in a house. In California, you got 20 for living in a house. They're not coming here for the love of the country. They're coming here for the love of the money. So what they can get. Okay, and that's they need to be. They're very serious betting.
Tom, I got to put you on hold. Don't go away. We're going to come right back after these words from our sponsors.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Redfield Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here and getting on back here with the news here. Remember Kathy Griffin, supposed comedian, or that's right, that's sexist to say that, comedian, and sort of rose to infamy with this famous photo of her holding what appeared to be a severed head of Donald Trump, all covered in blood, which I thought was tacky as all get out. Apparently, she's in the hospital. They're not saying what she's got, except that she's got symptoms she describes as unbearably painful. And of course, it's all the fault of President Donald Trump here. Okay, this is a story that's making the rounds on the corporate media and was on Fox News a little bit earlier today. Apparently, there's a hospital in Chicago is considering a universal do not resuscitate policy for infected patients, regardless of the patient which. Okay. Now, what that means is that if you have a pre-written directive that you're in the hospital and your heart stops, you quit breathing or something like that, that they have to restart you, this hospital is saying, we're going to ignore that. And they're trying to justify it by saying we only have so many resources and the numbers aren't good when somebody goes into a crash situation like that, that the chances of bringing them back are rather slim anyway. So we're just going to let them go. And we'll see what's going to happen with that. Okay, let's see. We still have Tom in Florida. Tom, you needed to finish up what you were talking about.
Yeah, Michael. First off, that Griffith lady, the bird looks better looking than that thing. That thing looks like an old hag, man. Woo! Man, that's something scary to look at there. Yeah, Michael, what I wanted to finish up with is a few things. By the way, the governor here in the state of Florida, he's basically telling these New Yorkers and New Jerseyans when they come down to Florida, self-quarantine yourself because we don't, these people are fleeing those states like left and right. The Californians are all leaving, getting out of there, fleeing by the thousands. New York and New Jerseyans are fleeing like by the thousands. They all want to get out of New York and they want to come to Florida. You know what? The governor here is saying, we don't basically quarantine yourself. We don't want a bunch of liberals down here. Keep your liberal politics up there in New York. We don't need them down here in our state of Florida. And he's doing a great job here, the governor here in the state of Florida, let me tell you. And so a lot of things are going good here. As far as we don't need all this nincompoops coming down here with their liberal, licky, kissy, touchy, feely nonsense. But going back to this, Michael, have you seen the YouTube videos of what's going on in Australia with the Chinese spies network?
I didn't get that one.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, they had a thing in Australia where the Australian government's really concerned about all the Chinese over there spying on the Australian government. It's on 60 Minutes of Australia. They have a big documentary right now. What's going on in Australia, and I thought that was very interesting. Watching like 20 minutes of that, that was like, wow. I mean, if that's happening in Australia, I'm sure it happens all over the world. But Michael, it's all about I don't know what to say. It's all about cultural identity. Who's going to be more powerful, the Russians, the China? I mean, it's all crazy what's really going on. But if you don't have a country of borders, Michael, you don't have no country at all. Without country without borders, you don't have no country at all, Michael. And Michael, one more thing: Is it okay if I send you something from Liberty Stickers?
Say something real quick because we're almost out of time on this hour.
Yeah, Michael, I want to send you something from Liberty Stickers if I can.
Okay, well, the postal address is inside the donations page at the What Really Happened website. We got to let you go and take a break for station identification. Back with another phone call after these few words.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are still open, 800-313-9443. And we're going to be spending this hour on non-coronavirus news here. But before that, we're going to take a phone call from Imrich in Vancouver. Aloha, Imrich. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, I'm just looking at and thinking about the potential damage or collateral damage if we let the economy totally fall apart, the supply chains fall apart, and there is no food, and there's a total chaos. How many deaths will there be because of that?
Well, that's why Donald Trump said that if they allow the economy to go into a full depression, the number of suicides that attend an economic depression will be worse than the deaths from the coronavirus. And he may be right. I mean, history has shown, people spend their entire lives working to buy a home or build a farm or build a business, and it gets taken away through circumstances beyond their control. And, they wind up killing themselves.
So how is this lockdown situation, and I'm not saying we shouldn't take precautions, but like that one person at the grocery store you were saying earlier, they put a plexiglass in and they're wearing gloves or whatever, they're protecting themselves.
Yes.
They haven't closed the store. I think that's a lot more reasonable than closing everything down.
Well, I agree it's more reasonable, and it sounds good, but you need to realize that a customer who goes into a food store and they've got the virus and it's all over their hands, and they're grabbing products off the shelf and putting them into the shopping cart, and at some point that checkout clerk and the bag boy are going to be touching those same products, and all the plexiglass. Okay.
I understand. So I agree. We're trying to prevent the spread, but we're not testing everybody because we don't have enough test kits. We don't have reliable information. We don't know who's got it, who doesn't. Yet we're quarantining everything. We're shutting everything down, and that is killing the economy. That is a step to the chaos direction. Other than you still got the virus, but you're creating something on top of something already. So I think that, taking a direction where we try to stay away from other people, yes, absolutely, even if you're outside. And if you're going for a walk and there's nobody around you, I live in Vancouver in Canada, so we got lots of space. So, if you're dumb enough and go and mingle over there and whatnot, well, that's a whole different story. But taking a smart, precautionary way towards this and keeping businesses open is a good thing, I think, because it slows down the potential chaos of the whole system breakdown. That's my opinion. So
okay.
Anyway, okay. So I said my 2 bits, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for your 2 bits, and we're going to let you go here. Phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And getting on back to the news here, it looks like the Democrats may have hoisted with their petard one more time. And very quickly, for those who don't understand what the reference is, a petard was a very crude form of artillery used to breach castle walls during medieval times. And what it would be is there'd be a large metal bowl, or sometimes they'd use a bell that was captured from the local church. They'd fill it with gunpowder, and they would hoist it on a crane so that the mouth was against the wall. And unfortunately, somebody had to ride on top of it to ignite it with a torch. And usually they wound up getting killed in the explosion, hence the phrase to hoist with your own petard. Well, do you remember back when Trump was running for the presidency in 2016, and then later on when Kavanaugh was being confirmed for the Supreme Court, these women came forward saying, oh, they abused me, they assaulted me, and the attitude of the liberals was, at that point, always believe the woman. Always believe the woman no matter what. Well, that's come back to haunt them, because there is a woman, pardon me, Tara Reid, who's accused Joe Biden of sexual assault and is claiming that when she worked in his Senate office in 1993, that he touched her inappropriately when she was in her mid-20s. So Biden now has this sexual abuse allegation, and we have yet to hear from the Me Too movement on it. But apparently there's an actual incidence of assault there, and it's starting to go mainstream, just as Joe Biden starts his meltdown, also on corporate media, not do very well. And we're hearing more and more talk about a brokered convention in which Cuomo is going to be put forward as the Democratic nominee for the general election in November. It won't be Biden, it won't be Sanders, it won't be, thank goodness, Hillary. It'll be Cuomo. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network here. Apparently, there's an organization connected to the Me Too people. It's called Time's Up Legal Defense Fund, and they are refusing to support this Tara in her allegations against Joe Biden. So apparently they only support allegations against conservatives here. Apparently Joe Biden claimed he was an Ivy League professor after leaving the Senate, which is sort of kind of maybe true if you forget about that 8 years of being the vice president. And he's clearly deteriorating. And this is the best that the Democrats could come up with. It's clearly deteriorating. And as I said the other day, there is no truth to the rumor that he's going to hide his own Easter eggs for the Easter egg hunt this year. Senator Richard Burr is being sued by an investor in Wyndham Hotel stock for allegedly using Senate Intelligence Committee information to sell off his shares of stock before their value plummeted during the COVID-19 pandemic. Insider trading is a major, major problem. And unfortunately, members of Congress are, in fact, beneficiaries of that inside information. Now, they're not supposed to act on it. And the regular laws against insider trading would definitely apply. There was an attempt to pass legislation specifically saying members of Congress cannot use the information they are given in their official capacity for their own personal private investment. That legislation got voted down. They sent it back to committee in a body bag here. Okay, Human Rights Watch is saying that Saudi forces in Yemen and their allies have committed serious abuses against the Yemeni civilians since June of last year in the Al-Mara Governorate. This includes torture and disappearing citizens. And, of course, nobody's being held to account for any of this. And this is coming from Michael Page, Deputy Middle East Director at Human Rights Watch. Saudi Arabia is severely harming its reputation with Yemenis when it carries out the abusive practices and holds no one accountable for them, he said. Meanwhile, doctors are saying that the Saudi war is leaving a devastating impact on Yemen's children's mental health. And according to a report by Save the Children, more than half of the Yemeni children surveyed said they struggle with feelings of sadness and depression more than 5 years after the beginning of the war that's plunged the country into what the United Nations says is the world's worst humanitarian crisis. And let's be honest, for most of those kids, they've grown up in the middle of a war. They haven't really had a time of peace to try and build a peaceful demeanor, if you will. But apparently 20% of the children are always afraid and always grieving. All righty. Over in Syria, the Syrian army and residents blocked a U.S. military convoy in Hasaka, forcing it to move back. And they've been forced to retreat from an area in Syria's northeastern province after government forces blocked its way, and groups of angry local residents, upset with its presence in the region, threw stones at the U.S. convoy, forcing them to retreat. What do you mean they don't like us? What do you mean they want us to leave? How could they want us? We're Americans, for heaven's sake. Those Syrians, they're acting like Syria is their country. Anyway, the Syrian Democratic Forces have released tens of ISIS members in eastern Syria. Meanwhile, Turkey and Russia are struggling with the Idlib de-escalation. So that's still going on over there. After the March 23 patrol, the Turkish side got additional time to neutralize terrorists and radicals entrenched in the agreed-to buffer zone. This was the second time Russia provided Ankara with such an opportunity. However, Ankara seems to be taking very little or no efforts to do so. Still dragging on over there. All right. We're looking at a conflict building between the Greeks, the Turks, and the migrants. They're calling it the Battle of Evros, and they're saying it's starting to look like the First World War. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, it was believed to have brought the border crisis to an end by deciding he would not keep his side of the Greco-Turkish frontier open for illegal migrants wishing to break into Europe. However, it seems that thousands of migrants remain at the border regardless, and that Turkish personnel are continuing to support their efforts to punch through Greece's protective force fences, not least by bombarding their Greek counterparts with tear gas. The footage has gone out on social media, and it does. It looks like the footage of World War I, where they're dealing with the mustard gas here. All right, in the economic news, the coronavirus crisis has brought another first to U.S. financial markets: negative yields on government debt. Yields on both the 1-month and 3-month Treasury bills dipped below zero yesterday, a week and a half after the Federal Reserve cut its benchmark rate to near zero, as investors have flocked to the safety of fixed income amid general market turmoil. I guess the thinking here is, even though I'm going to get a little tiny bit less than I spent for those bonds, at least I know it's going to be there. It's not going to disappear, or at least that's what they're thinking. This is the first time it's happened in 4.5 years when both bills, the 1-month and the 3-month, flashed red and yields fell to 0.002% each. It's a microscopic amount, but it is significant that the return on the bonds is going to be less than what you spent on them. The readings Wednesday were well below those. The 1-month traded at minus 0.053%, while the 3-month was at minus 0.033%. I mentioned this earlier in the show. A Harris poll is showing that Americans are growing more concerned than they are about COVID-19. All right, we're going to take a phone call now from Neville in Kansas City. Aloha, Neville. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. Good afternoon. Considering you wrote All Wars Are Banker Wars, and you are a magician yourself, I was a little bit surprised that you spend a lot of time on a distraction and not the real story. This quarantine isn't designed to work. If it was going to work, they would have delayed it. If it does work, I'm sure we'll get bombed with more viruses. But the story is how the government's going to put us all in lockdown and have the military deployed everywhere, so that when the economy does collapse, what great timing. They have full control over us, what we do. We're going to be afraid to go check our mail. That's what's going on. The virus was either
it's already collapsing. It's a slow motion collapse, but it is collapsing. It's been collapsing for quite some time.
Right. So that means we expect World War III. For whatever reason, they decided not to do World War III in a conventional sense and maybe unleash this virus. Put people locked in houses, get them used to obeying the government, get them used to being afraid, secretly deploy the military everywhere, set up checkpoints, so that when it does crash, we have guns to our head.
Well,
that's what the story is.
It's an interesting theory, and I can't dismiss it out of hand. I certainly hope you're wrong. But, the government, when push comes to shove, government's going to preserve itself ahead of the people. Most people think the Federal Emergency Management Agency is about taking care of the American people in an emergency. It isn't. It's about continuity of government, about preserving the government, if necessary, against the people.
Amen. I agree with you. And I think this is the world war that we were looking for, but they've done it in a sneaky way. And now we're going to be fighting amongst each other. Quarantine, no quarantine, virus is a fake, when really the trick is happening without us even noticing. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, same to you. And I certainly don't want people to be afraid. I want them to be aware and concerned and to think calmly and rationally about what's going on. But I don't want you to be afraid, and I don't want there to be a panic, because that's not going to help anybody. All righty, let's take another phone call. Dan in Washington State. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking the call. First off, I just want to say I like Paul from, I think, New Jersey. I think he had some good points. I think Stat Miller kind of got mad at him, but, you know, I think people are getting on, you know, people are arguing about stuff they don't truly have much knowledge about. But I think Paul was right. I mean, what if the people that are saying, oh, this is just the flu, it's like, what if you're wrong, you know, and you do spread it? And I mean, I personally, I drive trucks and I've been on the road, and I was going to visit my mom, but I told her, hey, I'm not going to come visit you until I know more about this virus, because I do not want to infect her. I've been all over the country. You know, if anyone is going to get it, it's going to be me. So, you know, I think that's a wise thing to do, because,
I agree.
you know, to protect her. And I was just talking to another friend of mine whose wife is a nurse. And this virus, it basically, it's not the flu. It crystallizes your lungs.
Yes.
And you basically, your lung, you know, you're going to sit there on a respirator for weeks, struggling to survive, you know. It's not, and look at the recovery rate as well. How many people have recovered from it, not just the death rate. There's not that, you know, you look at the number of cases and the deaths, and it's not, you'd say, well, everyone else recovered. No, everyone, the recovery rate's still pretty small too.
Yes.
So I think, you know, so that's, and, you know, the economy, most of the economy is considered a vital resource from what I can see. The roads are still full of trucks. I'm still making my deliveries. The warehouses are still open. I mean, I agree with, like, the caller from California was saying, the, you know, governor shutting down parks is a stupid move, because you want people out being able to go for a walk, but, you know, but then you have the idiots that are going to have a big bonfire and a big party with a bunch of beer, and then they ruin it for people. But I still don't think they should create a big police state. But generally, I think, you know, keep your social distancing, wear a mask. You know, we don't want a big police state, but I'm taking this virus seriously, at least for the next, I'll give it a month to see what the numbers really are, because I mean, I just drove through a city in Illinois, and they're talking about 600 more people with the virus, you know, and a few of the deaths have been younger people.
Yes.
So that's all I got to say. And some caller yesterday said, you know, basically viruses don't exist. And he's like, the virus doesn't kill you. It's your body's reaction to the virus. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, that's like saying a bullet doesn't kill you. It's your body's reaction to the bullet. You know, I mean, it's just some of the stuff I'm hearing here is just ridiculous. But
I agree.
anyway, I you know, so that's all I had to say. I mean, I like Stat Miller too. I think hopefully maybe Paul should donate some money to the show, and maybe after a month or so, everyone will calm down.
Well, I would
But,
like to see that. I think
you know.
I think Easter is a little overambitious, but this will calm down and blow over eventually. We went through this already in 2009 with the When Pigs Fly flu.
Yeah. And if it's bull crap, you know, I'll be the first one to say, hey, it doesn't, you know, And I agree with some of what the last caller said. I mean, I bought silver for the first time, and now, the silver markets are all the silver and gold in the whole country is gone, which is weird. And it's like, is that planned out? I mean,
people are fleeing to quality, and there's no better quality than precious metals. Anyway, listen, John, I got to let you. Sorry, Dan, I got to let you go here. We've got to take another break for commercials. More callers waiting on the line when we come back to you.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go right back to the phones to John in Tennessee. Aloha, John. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, you're only 100 miles from me in Nashville. You got some of that global warming today? Did it get to 70 by you?
Well, yeah, we got close to 70 here, but we've got storms coming in now.
Okay. Let's see. Consistent with the bumper music here, these guys have gotten far more. We've lost more liberty with this coronavirus thing than they wanted. I mean, they've gotten way more than they got on 9/11 out of this, haven't they? I mean,
They
the
have.
fact that we're this willing to give up, yeah. I mean, the fact that we're this willing to give up our liberty for security. I mean, and again, like I said, I get the recommendations, but some people, and this is kind of a zombie society, they really do get all their information off the TV, and they just don't know how to handle themselves. And they're extremely paranoid. And I was watching Ron Liberty Report today. I forgot who the guy's from, but he was on there, and he just been warning about this for years, and just going. I mean, the government has got. Oh, let me put it this way. I have a buddy in Chicago. We've been arguing politics since I was a Ron Paul guy, and he likes to get my goat by go Fed. And again, Ron Paul gave everybody the education, but he sent me a picture of Mitch this morning, and there's Mitch McConnell all by himself, and he's got his thumb. He's got the thumbs up with a big grin on his face. Mike, I was so offended at that picture. It's Mitch McConnell, thumbs up, going, mission accomplished. The Fed owns everything now. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, Carlson last night, Dana Perino, and they're sitting there going, $2 trillion bill. I can't even wrap my mind around that. And it's like, it's just, I mean, I remember everybody freaked out over one of Obama's $700 billion omnibus bills. And we were all like, oh my God, like we're all fiscal conservatives. Stuff, it's never stopped. Spending since Ronald Reagan, the percentage of debt spending has just gone parabolic. It's unbelievable. And now you've got, everybody says $2 trillion. Isn't it $6 trillion? Isn't it $2 trillion for the little people, and then $4 trillion for the bailouts? And
Yes.
then on top of that, these people on TV, they keep saying the next one. The Fed, they bought it all. They bought the country, and that smug look at McConnell's face. And I'm not bashing the guy. Some kind of these people are Reagan conservatives. Some of them are. The first plan. That's why the Ron Paul movement happened, because the Republican Party platform, the first plank was fiscal conservatism, stop spending. And for my whole life, I've never stopped spending since the Challenger disaster. So that's it. The Fed bought it all. It's over. I mean, again, I don't mean this, obviously. I mean, in healthcare, technically, so I'm still working, but this is no stimulus. You don't stimulate anything. You're just going to really keep us treading water. This thing is going to sink, and it's going to get worse and worse, and recession, depression, I mean, whatever it turns into. But the people are government handouts for sustenance. If you're a small business, employees, and you get one of these loans, you're not going to open up shop and it's back, because you don't know when this is going to end. You have no idea, so you might take the money, close up shop, and take your chances with paying it back. I mean, we've all said Amazon, Walmart, big box stores are going to put the mom and pops out of business. Well, this is it. So you get your last bailout, close up shop, and then I don't know how we're all going to survive. We're sure as hell in no position like the founding fathers.
You're missing a key piece of information. In the $2.2 trillion bailout, the small businesses that get the loans, if they manage to hold on to their employees until the crisis is over, the loans are to be forgiven. So they're not going to have to pay them back. So that's an incentive for them to keep their businesses going. Yeah, that's a very good idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's I really do. I just everybody go look up that picture. If everybody's seen that picture of Mitch McConnell, well, my God, that really was just mission accomplished. Whatever the Fed set out to do in 1913, it's done now. It's done. They own it all.
Was all done with make-believe money.
Yeah, and amazing how quickly they brought this in. They brought it in. Now the bills are passed. Trump signed them. What does that make him?
Now,
by the way, I don't know if anybody's ever called you. Has anybody called you and made mention of this? In the beginning of this, Trump would go out to the White House press room. He had the presidential seal on the podium. They've taken that off. Now it just says the White House. He's not. Somebody made this observation going, he's not speaking. He's not in charge. They took the presidential seal off the podium. He's just saying what he's told to be said, but he's not running the show.
Well, I'm waiting for them to pull wide because they're doing another task force briefing here. When they pull wide, we'll see whether the logo is there or not. But yeah, the Federal Reserve was a curse upon our nation all the way back to 1913. John, we're going to let you go take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat, very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
How would you like to earn an extra $10,000 or more a month from the comfort of your home? We show you how to win with a home-based business opportunity. This could be one of the best financial decisions you ever make. Work from home, full-time or part-time. Plus, you'll never have to talk to anyone. Our professional sales team closes all your sales for you, and you keep 70% of all the sales made. You could be earning money while you're sleeping, shopping, working out, wherever you are, day or night. Our system goes to work for you. You can make a great income without any special computer skills or sales training. Plus, you get paid fast, within just 24 to 48 hours after our professional sales team closes a sale for you. Let us help you eliminate your financial concerns. You could be earning enough money to pay off debt, buy a house, a car, or whatever the case may be. We've got you covered. If you'd like to add an extra $10,000 or more a month to your portfolio, and you would like to know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, go now to www.getstartedwithus.com. That's www.getstartedwithus.com. Again, that's www.getstartedwithus.com.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy, but I must admit lately I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Joseph in Hawaii. Aloha, brah. What's up?
Aloha, brah. It's very rainy here in Hawaii. It's been like that all winter long, just to let you know. It's not cold, but it's been kind of an ugly winter and windy as all get out. Anyway,
Yeah,
just
I
wanted
saw
to
the photos from the north part of Kauai where it's all flooded out by Hanalei.
Yeah. It's amazing how much rain we get here. Normally, we've had winters, that we've had kind of dry winters, but this has been a rainy one. So It's been, I guess, not really a lot of tourists come out here, and they're expecting to see a beautiful sun. It's been that way for much of our winter. I guess, it keeps everything green. A lot of weeds everywhere. Tall weeds. That's our winter, I guess. Listen, I wanted to follow up on Tennessee was saying. I couldn't agree more with what you brought up because, it's politically that between the feds and the government combined have taken our country to, and it's basically kicking the can on the road. We just keep more of this money, making anybody who's got any kind of more. And
Hey,
how are we going to pay this off?
Joe, could you talk a little closer to your telephone because you keep breaking up?
I'm so sorry. Is this better then?
Yes,
I'm a little bit concerned about all this debt. It just seems like they keep kicking the can down the road, printing this money, making anybody who's got any kind of cash savings just more and more worthless. And it's frustrating. I know we've got an issue, with having to get us out of the hole right now, but it just seems like no one seems to be concerned. And John was right from Tennessee. This is just not being discussed because it's politically incorrect, perhaps, to bring that up now because we got so many people in need. But it's got to be thought through. No one seems to. I say no one. It's just not even being brought forth as a concern, especially by the Republican Party, much less the Democrats, of course. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, the economy is a mess, and you're right. The more they kick the can down the road, the more debased the dollar becomes, and they're trying to maintain its value by linking it to petroleum through the petrodollar. But in the end, it's a dead-end system. It can't perpetuate, and we may be on the verge of seeing it all come apart. And they're definitely going to use the coronavirus, as a scapegoat. We the government didn't mess up the economy. We had it running just really fine, and we may have had sky high deficits and a sky high debt, but it was all working until that gosh darn virus just came along and spoiled it for everybody.
During the good times, supposedly the good times, I question that even prior to this virus. Look what was going on in the repo market. There was something was definitely amiss going on that since September even, but perhaps even further back, that was not being brought forth. So that tells you there's some kind of definite happening. And then when you have an economy running on continued added debt, which was going on during the supposed good times, I guess I'm not too sympathetic with a lot of companies that were doing buybacks, raising their stock prices, all in the mindset of the investors and not, socking away for a rainy day. We have individuals who do that kind of thing. They're living on the high hog, not putting away for any bigger businesses. And then all of a sudden, you get the black swan that comes along in life. And if you haven't been preparing for that, and then all of a sudden you come crying to the government for handouts, not just somebody, I'm not talking individuals so much as even corporations. It's really, and then the government turns and just prints all this money to bail them out. That's frustrating. It's very frustrating to see a lot of that happening right now.
Yes.
It'll happen again because we don't learn from history. It's the same old, same old. So, again, John brought it up from Tennessee, but I think it's something that definitely is, I wish it was being more discussed. Not so much on your show, but just in general in the public.
Okay, well,
Thank you, Mike.
All right, well, thanks an awful lot, mahalo, and we're going to let you go and switch over to Peter in Los Angeles. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, Mike, it's pretty much the same thing that's on everybody's mind here, but the point I wanted to bring up again was that the Federal Reserve is buying up every single real asset on the stock market. Many small businesses are being destroyed by this deal, and so the bigger businesses won't have very much competition from the little guys, and they're buying up at 10 cents on the dollar, is what I've said for weeks, really. But Mike, I wanted to ask you a question because you're a science guy and I'm not. And one of the things that concerns me a great deal since we don't know, we're not being told anything definite, like not even how long you can carry it around without showing symptoms. We don't even know that, which means we can't figure out how long to quarantine or how long to supply ourselves for quarantine. But the question I have is, there seems to be a lot of reports saying that people are getting it for a second time.
Yes.
You've been hearing that?
I've been hearing
I know that Steve Elkins, I know, is a nurse, and maybe he can pitch in on this too. But I'll bet you know. But it concerns me that if they're getting it a second time, unlike the measles or the chicken pox or something like that, where you build up immunity, apparently not enough immunity is being, or any immunity is being built up. And then I wonder, if there's no immunity being built up in people who've had it, or little immunity, how are we ever going to get a vaccine that would work? What do you think about that, Mike?
Well, it may turn out that COVID-19 is a lot like herpes, which is also caused by a virus. And once you get it, you've got it for life. It pops up again. And even Dr. Fauci was out there saying that, this could become a cyclic thing where every once in a while it just shows up again, which I'm sure the vaccine makers are going to really be happy about.
Wow, that's interesting. So, if you extrapolate that, if that indeed is true, it's like herpes, you can't get rid of it. It's only suppressed for a amount of time, and it can pop up at any time or not pop up. How do we structure our society around that from here on out?
The same way that we structured around the people who are suffering from herpes.
Yeah, but herpes won't kill you. This does, and herpes is infectious. You have to actually have some fun to get herpes. This you can just be out and about. That would be a profound change to our. We're like the ants, Mike. We're social at the very core of what humans are. We're social.
Yes.
It's I don't know where this is all going, but it's very worrisome.
Yeah, it is. It is. But again, we're going from unreliable information. Nobody really knows for sure, and we probably won't for another 6 months.
And why is that, Mike? Can you figure out why they're not telling us anything?
Because everybody's out there trying to get numbers out. They're trying to get on TV to make it look like they're doing something about the problem. But these things do take a little bit of time, and everybody's out there pushing their own particular product. Like I said, we're hearing from other countries that they've got cures that seem to be working, and the U.S. isn't interested. The U.S. wants to find something on their own so that the money from the American patients goes to American companies.
I had a friend of mine talk about how the hotel business, obviously the casino business, is just totally tanked, and Trump's losing money hand over fist in his own personal portfolio. And I said, and I know that presidents are supposed to have their stuff in a blind trust, but Kushner, I've also read, is big time invested into these cures and this health stuff. And Congress, the people who were out there getting the briefings and selling their stocks, that's nothing new, right?
Right.
They're not subject to the insider trading. They're all doing it. It's just those the guys, the first ones to do it, but they're all doing it. And I'm sure Trump can recoup all his losses from the casino hotels by just, redirecting his money where he knows it's going to be for healthcare or wherever. So I don't know. I thought that was a point worth raising. All these guys are getting rich.
Yes.
And we're dying and don't even know what exactly is going on. The economy is being ruined, but they're getting rich. They know where all this $1 trillion stimulus is going. They know who's getting contracts. So I'm the world's sunniest person, Mike. Don't you think?
Yeah, really. No, you fit into the format of the show perfectly.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Bless you, Claire, everybody else. Thank you.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. And speaking of Claire, she will be joining us in hour number 2 tomorrow, for those of you who are wondering. Okay, we're going to go to, let's see, JR in Georgia. Aloha, JR. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Mike. Number one thing I'd like to make a point about is I did not appreciate the phone call you received yesterday afternoon. I found it somewhat distasteful because everybody's got an opinion and no one's right at this particular point in time. But I called in specifically about the economy because I don't know how many listeners have been paying attention for more than 3 months, but I've been tracking this information and data now for almost a year. And I've talked to Steve Elkin a couple of times, not many, but signs were there almost a year ago in regards to the Baltic Sea Index, container car usage, and there are various other signs. And the one that sticks out to me was the fact that the labor participation rate has never cracked 64% at all during Trump's presidency. What do you think about that?
Well, we know they've been lying about the unemployment numbers. What they do is they cook up these single-digit unemployment numbers by ignoring people who've been out of work, more than a certain amount of time. If they've run out of benefits, they're put into a different category, and it's all funny numbers. And it's interesting now they're saying that because of the COVID-19, the unemployment rates are going to be about 30%, which is what it's actually been now for several years. And it's like they're trying to undo all the propaganda that they fed us over the last several years and use the coronavirus to basically reset everybody's expectations. Yes, we have 30% unemployment. Yes, we have, people losing their homes and their businesses. And gosh darn it, it wasn't that the government and the Federal Reserve messed up the economy. It was that gosh darn virus. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's getting hyped so much.
Right. Well, something came to my mind today that I had not thought of. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of the term the Jubilee.
Yes.
And, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theory person. I try not to be. But in the back of my mind, after I've seen what this dead blame Congress and Senate has done to us, and after hearing Trump time after time after time say, we're at war, we're at war. Is this a war budget that's being proposed? It's absolutely ludicrous of these politicians trying to deceive us. And I am so angered and pissed of all this bull crap that's coming out of Washington, D.C., and I'm sure many of your listeners feel the same way I do. But I just wanted to thank you for giving me the time to speak on your show. I'm a first-time caller to it and also a first-time donator because I've had enough. The Rush Limbaughs and the Sean Hannitys and everyone else trying to blow smoke up my redneck derriere.
Well, thank you for the donation and thank you for the phone call. And we're going to let you go because we're getting close to the end of the show here. We're going to jump on over to Miles in Maine. Aloha, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. I've been listening to a few of these last few callers. And, here's the thing. These, I'll say, global leaders, to make money, they've got to sell products. Then to sell products, people have to be able to buy those products. Now, there might be some kind of global reset because they realize that over the years they've just raped everybody, into submission. But they're going to come back and there's going to be some kind of currency or some kind of valuation that works out because without people buying these products, they don't become billionaires.
That's true.
So, it's going to be a little testy and a little feisty, but so was the Great Depression. But people came back. If they wanted to wipe out this debt, they could. But what they're going to tell you is, look, you got $1,000 in the bank, it's worth $700 now. But if they come up with a form of currency that's rock solid and prevents this, I mean, are we better off? Maybe we are. Maybe
this nation was
Yeah.
started with a currency that was rock solid, and it got taken away from us.
Yes.
Now we're supposed to look
Exactly.
at
So, I mean,
the paper with colored ink and think that's the money, and it isn't. It's a debt note.
True. So exactly, if they come up with something and it fixes a problem, like let's hope in the positive that they do and don't just create another problem. But they know they've raped everybody to death and they've taken all their assets. I mean, what good does it do to banks to have millions upon millions of homes that they own with nobody to afford them? Does no good. So yeah, there might be a reset, but you know what? Here's the thing about these billionaires. They want to keep being billionaires and work their way to trillionaires.
True.
So they're going to come up with another system, and people are going to have some kind of existence because they don't want to close down their factories and their multinational corporations and everything that's doing. You think Standard Oil wants to fold up because nobody wants to buy oil and gas anymore? No, they're going to keep going and going. And yes, they've abused and manipulated and taken advantage of the economy. But maybe this time we get a couple Rand Pauls or Ron Pauls or somebody that can help us out and advocate for the consumer, the little guy, the family guy. So, I don't want to think that just everything's going to go
for that. Miles, I got to let you go. I'm sorry. We've got to take a break for commercials. Back to the last segment of our program. That's the 3 words.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right. All the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Redfield Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners, so that you can get involved in the activism. Please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program today. We've got time for the last two callers on our program, and we're going to start with Chris in Clearwater, Florida. Aloha, Chris. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Jubilee, as the last caller mentioned, and we can grant it to ourselves. And that's something I think that Anthony McGills, you would enjoy interviewing over at realcurrencies.wordpress.com. Talks about things like community currencies. He's based in Holland, but he has a great background, great areas of expertise in both theory and practice on community currencies and other forms of equitable commerce media. And that's these are vitally important right now because we need to keep our wealth local and away from the multinational companies, the likes of which, Amazon and the big box retail stores do not accept. Otherwise, they will take over. And we need to prevent that with our own forms of currencies that not only keep the wealth local, but allow us to get to know our neighbors and afford higher quality products and services. And frees up our national currency credit for things like mortgages and rent and utilities and things that we need that for. But also, there are time banks and barter networks and cooperatives and swap shops. And that way we can encourage civic abundance and trend towards a more gifting society that I do believe is possible. These multinational corporations without any allegiance to any country need to be stopped. And this is a vital turning point.
I agree.
We can whip the money changers without physical conflict. And we can cease feeding those beasts, proving we're not dependent. And exit the plantation. Lastly, check out Dr. Rashid Buttar at advancedmedicine.com. His YouTube channel is linked there. And he has a 3-part series, the third part of which I think is the most important if you're going to watch only one of them, entitled COVID-19 Virus Conspiracy, Scientific Corruption. And he points out in 2015 where the COVID-19 appears to have been bioengineered, not, of course, naturally man-made. And Dr. Anthony Fauci was instrumental in that. Again, in 2015, he cites the research studies where they're advising against doing it, but they went ahead and they did it anyway. And check out what the YouTube videos cite most commonly is Capitalist Eric.wordpress.com, Capitalist Eric, ERIC.wordpress.com, that has a lot of information on this so-called pandemic. And I'm not sure if it's a bioweapon or not. They're claiming that they can't vaccinate against it, so maybe we have to rely as well as on antivirals.
Chris?
Herbal, preferably.
Okay, Chris, I got to let you go. We've got one more caller, and we're almost out of time here. So let's switch over quickly to Robert in Illinois. Robert, I'm sorry to shortchange you, but what's on your mind?
All right, TikTok. So, a lot of your callers, your audience, they're calling in with a defeatist attitude, but they got to turn this around. We might as well just shut RBN down right now if this is just for your entertainment. You guys got a lot of knowledge and a lot of gusto in you. You got to get out and out of swing. This bill has not been signed by the president. So you have a chance. He has a chance to be vetoing this, and he will. Hopefully he will, because it's got all that garbage in it, $35 million for the Kennedy Center. Go for what? Do you go to the Kennedy Center, Mike? No, you don't. Nope. Do you want an abortion? No, you don't. So anyway, Twitter him. Twitter the president, veto it. Call the White House, veto it. Email the White House, veto it. It's not done. Okay? So he will cut a lot of this pork out, hopefully, because, you had 96-0 in the Senate, and they're just glad they